It's so sad. Before You, released in 2016 and is directed by Thea Shedek, who is making her directorial debut with this movie. And this film stars the girl from Game of Thrones, the guy from the Hunger Games, the other guy from the Game of Thrones, the guy from the Harry Potter series, and Janet McTeer. William Traynor, played by Sam Claflin, is a successful businessman who lives in the top 1%. But one morning he is struck by a motorcyclist and is now completely paralyzed. Flash forward a couple of years and we meet Lou Clarke, played by Emilia Clarke, who is just the most positive person you will ever meet on the entire planet. And she takes on the position of being William's caretaker. And at first William is very cold to Lou, but over the course of this story they learn to appreciate each other and eventually fall in love. So I bought this movie on a whim for my wife. This was a gift to her. I was going to be out of town for a very long time and I wanted her to have something to kind of keep her mind, because I think she was on vacation or something like that. So I bought her the book, Me Before You, the book that this movie is based on. Plus I also got her the DVD so she could compare. And I remember her calling me a couple of nights saying that she was bawling at the end of reading the book and she was bawling at the end of watching the movie. Which I'm very happy that I found something like a book, a novel that could make her feel a certain way and gave her some type of emotional reaction, but I also felt bad that it was the emotion of sadness. But she told me she really enjoyed this movie. Of course, she said that the book was better, and that's typically what you find in any book-to-movie adaptation. The novel, the fictional book, usually is better because they can go into depth a little bit more, and they have a lot more things and story plots in it. And she particularly likes Sam Claflin, who I only know from the later Hunger Games movies. This movie was really advertised on the name of Emilia Clarke. She plays this little tiny character in Game of Thrones called Dany Targaryen, you know, just character that you might have heard of, who was also one of my favorite characters in Game of Thrones. Used to be. And this movie was coming out in just the peak of the Game of Thrones stardom that she had, so I was actually very curious and interested to see how she would do outside of the major role that she had in Game of Thrones. And I gotta tell ya, my God, she is charming as all hell. Like, her characterization of this character, just being overly positive and just overly trying to make everyone happy, I'm in love with. Actually, to be honest, I'm in love with this movie. What a freaking surprise! Who would have thought that last time I was reviewing Pretty Woman, that was regarded as one of the greatest romantic comedies of all time, watching this one, I by far prefer this movie over Pretty Woman. This one's not really a comedy, as it's really just a straight drama, but it's so freaking cute. And she is so freaking adorable. And it's nice to see her not being one of those authoritative roles, not being typecast in them. Her overwhelming positivity is so contagious. She lives with her family and she takes care of them. If their parents, they can't get a job, and she's the breadwinner of the entire family. So she feels that she is stuck, that she can't go anywhere because she has to stay here to take care of everyone. Which is why I think being a caretaker for William is the perfect role for her. But she's young. I think she's in like high school years. She needs to go out, do her own thing, become her own woman. And her being with Neville Longbottom is not going to accomplish that. Who would have ever thought that back when the Harry Potter films were starting, that the actor who was playing Neville Longbottom would play a cardio just douchebag in this movie? Seriously, he's a douche. Enough said. But Emilia Clarke just warms my heart. I love seeing her on screen, and I love her characterization. I love her personality. She wears all these fun, quirky clothes and design styles that you look at and you go, that looks so strange, but your smile just pulls it off, and I love you. I love you in the sense that I love your character. Not saying that I wouldn't like to, get you a beer and then maybe take you back to my hotel room and then see what happens. But Lou is so positive. She is a shining light, just a beacon in positivity and just in character development in the majority of movies that I've watched this year so far. And Sam Claflin, I really enjoyed him as William as well. Before he was in his accident, he was a hot shot. He was making money. He was making bank. He was sleeping with one woman who actually was the love of his life. Come to find out that she has moved on since the accident and is now marrying his best friend. Whew. I mean, I know you gotta follow your heart, but God, that's cold. And that brings us to the big plot point of this movie. He is giving himself 6 months before he goes to Sweden and checks himself into this non-profit organization that helps with assisted suicide. Which, that is just a fun conversation. And I'm just going to stop myself right here and just say that, everyone, I do not have the answers, and this is not a political show, this is a movie review. But I know that this movie got a lot of backlash because of that plot point. This film received a lot of flack from the disability community, from people who are actually disabled, or people that have friends or family members or loved ones that are disabled, that they hated the portrayal of someone that was disabled in this movie because they were making it seem like, oh, disabled see themselves as burdens, and how they're just so unhappy, and that all people with disabilities think that, oh, the world would be better off without them if they would just commit suicide or just end it all. Which I can only speak from my vantage point watching this movie. I didn't get any of that. I don't think this movie was trying to make this big, grand statement saying that assisted suicide is right and that you should have the right to end your life. I was solely looking at this movie based on who this character is. He was a hotshot, he had everything going for him, he had everything stripped away, he is seeing the love of his life marry his best friend, he has no one, and he doesn't want this new love of his life, Lou, to go on just caring for him, and waiting on him, getting him out of bed, feeding him, and driving him places. Again, I do not have any of the answers. All I will say is that I'm a firm believer in that you have the right to choose what you do with your own life. You only have one life to live, and it's up to you to decide what you want to do with it. Because I think there's something very powerful when you realize that I am my own person. I have no duty to anyone. I have no responsibilities really to anyone. I choose to have responsibilities to someone if I want. If I want to marry someone, if I want to have children, I am deciding to do that. Not because it was thrust upon me, and there's not some big humanic law that we all have to live by. With all that being said, I thought he did a good job in the role. Of course, it's always easier when you're in the position that he's in to have a family that's just loaded with money. Unlike my last review with Pretty Woman, where I'm thinking that, okay, would she really fall in love with this guy if he wasn't, like, billions and billions of dollars rich? I really feel that Lou would fall in love with this character, even though he is just loaded. And it's not your stereotypical love story either. No, it's very dramatic, and it's very sweet, it's very innocent, it's very simple. That's really my major takeaway from this movie, is that it is very, very simple in its delivery, in its directing, in its character development. And you know what? Sometimes simple is better. Straightforward, lovely people that I love to see on screen, and I want this story to continue. In the end, I'd say Me Before You is a much better film that the majority of the people don't recognize. And Game of Thrones just ended this year, but if we see this type of acting and performance and character choices from Emilia Clarke, I think she has great places in her future. Yeah, she could play the very domineering character of Daenerys Targaryen, but she can also play the quaint, little, simple, quirky Lou in Me Before You, and it's an absolute delight to watch on screen. The only thing that really took me out of this movie were all of the little poppy contemporary music montages. So there's like 5 of them in this movie. And at first it was cute, like, okay, you're trying to appeal to a younger audience, and then it kept happening. Oh, I'm reading books on research and planning vacations, and I'm traveling, and all this contemporary popish music is playing. We get all the slow fades in and out of different angles looking at Emilia Clarke, and I'm just thinking, let's just stop that. Let's just go on with the story, please. That aside, though, I have not stopped thinking about this movie, so you know what? I'm gonna give Me Before You 4.5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I think I see blue. He looks glorious.
Alright everyone, now comes my favorite part in my videos where I pick which movie I'm going to be watching next, and the next one comes as a recommendation from one of my subscribers, and really the only one that talks to me on Twitter, the Owl Reviewer. You recommended The Secret in Their Eyes, the Spanish edition. A movie that, honestly, I have never heard of, I've never seen previews for, actually. I have no idea what this is about. But the Owl Reviewer and I have engaged in a lot of great conversations on Twitter. We talk about wrestling sometimes. It's actually a lot of fun. When he recommended this, I'm like, you know what? Sure, it's been a while since I've done one of his recommendations, so thank you very much, Our Reviewer, for the recommendation. If any of you have recommendations of films that you want me to review on here, please leave your comment below this video, go to my Facebook page, my Instagram, or my Twitter. Leave your recommendation there. If I have access to it, I will watch, review it, and give you a shout on the channel. So everyone, have you seen Me Before You? What did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before, and you stumbled across it because of this video, please comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And if you like my take on movie reviews, hit the subscribe button, it helps me out a lot. Send your friends over if they like people talking about movies. We have almost hit our goal of 627 subscribers by the end of 2019. Now remember, if we hit our stretch goal, I will torture myself by recording myself watching Arachnophobia, which is just going to be, it's going to be one of the greatest things you have ever seen. Not me, personally, but you, watching someone torture themselves. I mean, that's just fun, right? So everyone, I will see you next time with my review of The Secret in Their Eyes. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.